Hello everybody, my name is Wolfman the Noob, and I am here to bring you a quick tutorial about Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition. Now this tutorial is aimed for people who has never played Demon Souls, or Dark Souls for that matter either. What I'm going to be doing today is giving you a brief tutorial about things you need to know that the game has not explained to you yet. Now by this point you have reached into the asylum, gotten through the asylum, and now you are on your adventure. The one hint that I'm going to give you in your quest line, the direction you want to go from this point on, which you probably figured out by now, but if you hadn't, you want to go up in this direction. And you want to go face everything that is over there. Now, ignore that guy that you just kind of saw over there because he comes on later on in the game. Now, let me talk to you about things that you need to do. You find yourself ending up wanting to level up. You go to your bonfire, you go to the level up screen, but you have all these options. What to choose? Which skill is better than which other one? Well, here in Dark Souls, the thing you want to focus on is vitality and endurance as the two major things that you always put your points in when you're leveling up. Now, what you do want to focus on at first though, and I hate to admit it, but I think if you're not a big fan of studying games where you don't want to look online before you play the game of like what weapons do what damage or whatever, then you might be out of luck in this game because there's just a certain bit of information that you kind of need to know. For instance, strength and dexterity are the two major factors when it comes to picking a weapon. And in this game, you just need the minimum required strength and the minimum required dexterity to wield most weapons. Now, certain weapons, like this one right here, if you look down in the bottom right corner, where it says require rec pram, you see that the muscle armed is strength. And I see it's the number 10 that follows. So I need at least 10 strength. I can have less than that and hold it in two hands. I don't know the exact number or the math behind that, how that works, but you'll notice if you find a weapon that requires a lot of strength and you want to use it with both hands, you'll know if you can or cannot use it by by a message. For instance, I have no really big weapon to show you. Drat. So here, I will have to not take that armor off, but instead, here. Okay. I want to use this weapon right here. I'm sorry for the delay. But this weapon, if you look at the Crier Pram again, the muscle has a little red 24. Now that means and if you look at my stats right next to it, my strength is 21, meaning I should not be able to use it, right? Wrong. I can use it if I put it in both hands. So I equip it. It gives me this message. Insufficient strength. To wield this weapon with one hand, hold it in both hands efficiently. Now you'll get this message if you can use it for both hands. Otherwise it will just say you're insufficient. Okay. So now that I have it, it kind of goes slow if I do that. And there was numbers involved in this. Negative 135 to the damage of 195. So it's going to subtract that value. Then it's also going to take into consideration the physical defense of an enemy, and then your total with like 3 points of attack damage. Not good. But if I put it in two hands, by pressing the two-hand button, I can now use it with oh, look at this. Now there's a plus. Now what does that plus mean? Well, this video is going to tell you just that. That plus value number, the number to the plus, to the left of the plus value is the base damage. The plus number of 97 is the value you get after you add in your stat bonus. Now, your stat bonus is added by the variable of param bonus underneath the attacking. If you see, there's the muscle again, and it has a letter C next to it. Then you see the hand for dexterity with the letter D next to it. Now, those are what factor in to that plus damage. If you have, let's say, an A in strength, and I have 21 strength, the damage will be plus around 103 or so. It'll do more damage because I have a higher strength, um, because I have a lot of strength stats. So the letter determines the amount of damage that's going in. Like if we look down at this one, it's only a plus 29. That's because I have a B in dexterity and an E as in Eric in strength. Now, okay, so that's discovered that. But in this game, you really only want to focus on just getting the requirements. So if we look back over to the right of it, the rec parameter is really what you only really want to focus on. And with dexterity, dexterity has no influence on two-handed. Basically meaning if you have low dexterity, you can't two-hand it and expect to use it. So you really have to fit it, go to the dexterity. Now, I think most of them you won't need anything more than like 18 dexterity, or at least. And I'm sorry I gave you that number, but that's just kind of the common knowledge of it. Now, there are certain items in this game. Since I'm looking at my items and I just pulled this up, this is a sorcerer's catalyst. This is what you use to use sorcery spells. Right now I do have a sorcery spell of magic weapon in my top inventory, and then I have this heal miracle. Now as you see, I can't cast the heal miracle with my catalyst, but I can cast the sorcery spell. Now if I had a pyromancy, I would have to use another item, just the same way I would have to use another item. See, the pyromancy's flame is what you use for pyromancy spells, like all fire stuff, and a talisman is what we use for that heal spell. So if we go back, we have our talisman in hand, we'll go back to the miracle. Now we can use the miracle by just pressing the attack button, the first attack button. The secondary attack button gives a little strike, and I haven't used that in combat. Well, I have by mistake, but it's not very effective when you go up against, let's say, a dragon, and you smack him with your talisman. It doesn't really do that much damage, and I think he just kind of laughs at you and breathes fire. So, moving right along now. So that's just the basics of the weaponry that they don't really explain, that you kind of figure out on your own. Now we move along, and we move down to, let's move on to shields. Of course, swords and shields. Now we have two different types of shields here. We have a small shield and we have a shield. There's a difference there. Now, in order to get to that menu, I just toggled status twice. And this is something really important, which I forgot to show you with the weapons. It's important to look at the description of weapons. It's so crucial in this game to pay attention to details like that, because there are certain weapons and certain items, just items in general, you always want to read the description, because what it'll tell you is what it's really about. There is, for instance, a spider shield, which I now realize I don't have for this character, but a spider shield doesn't show in this numeric table of poison resist. But if you were to read this description, it will say it has a resistance to poison. Meaning, if I have the shield equipped, and someone hits the shield that has poison on it, I'll resist that poison. Now, when we get later on into armors, there's certain armors that have better poison resist, which you can see from, which you can see from this menu. You can see bleed resist, poison resist, poise, curse resist, and all that wonderful stuff. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay, back up to shields. Okay, now we have these two different types of shields. Now wait a minute. If you look, we're looking at right now the damage reduction percent, which is in the top right corner of that screen, to the left of my stats. So in the top right corner, there's physical, magic, fire, and lightning stability. Now, what does all that mean? Well, it's a percentage of how much damage is reduced with it, with this shield. So, with this shield equipped, holding it up, it's going to absorb 100 damage percent. Now, what does that mean? Well, I think it's just better to show you than talk about it.